Hey everyone, in this channel, we're mostly going to look at tips and tricks within Power BI. So it's going to slightly progress as it goes on with very simple things like importing data from Excel or SQL, and then it's going to move into creating visuals, developing interactive dashboards and reports, and just more advanced stuff as we go through. So as you watch any of these videos, please feel free to add something in the comments. If there's a topic you want to discuss or something you've had trouble with in Power BI, and I'll be happy to answer your questions or even make a video on a common concern that I see throughout the comments. So in this short video, we're just going to look at how to import data from Excel into Power BI. So when you open up Power BI Desktop, you're always going to see a blank screen just like this. And on the main screen, you're going to see options where you can click here to import data from Excel, SQL, or whatever data source you may have. You can either click here, or the other common way is to click Get Data up here. And once you click Get Data on top, you can click on More. And once you click on More, this is going to show you a drop down of every different source you can pull from. So right now we're filtering on all. You can connect to Excel, SQL, Oracle databases, and the list goes on. And if you don't want to scroll through, you could always just search for what you want to connect to. And it'll come up here. And you can click on that and then click Connect. But for the purpose of this presentation, we're going to look at Excel. And since that's such a common one, it's always going to pop up right on top. So we'll click on Excel and then we'll click Connect. And we're assuming you have this Excel file saved off somewhere in your documents, your downloads, or in some folder you've created. In this case, we'll go to the file path we want with our sample data, and we will pull in the largest automakers by market cap and automaker stocks from 2010 to 2022 files. So we're going to pull these two files in. So if I click on the first file, and this one I believe is about 100,000 records. So it's going to vary in load time based on how big your file is. But with an Excel file, it should always be pretty quick. SQL can take a little more time, but this should take anywhere from a few seconds to maybe upwards of a minute, but not longer than that, unless you have a really, really massive file, which at that point, maybe Excel isn't the best way to be storing that in the first place. But you could see it's going to load a preview here for us of what is in this Excel file, and we'll see that here. So if you just give it a second to load, we'll also see all the tabs in that Excel file will fall underneath here. So say you have an Excel file with 5 or 6 tabs, but you only want to pull in maybe 1 or 2 into Power BI, you can select the specific tabs you want to bring in. So in this case, this one only has 1 tab with data, so if I select it, it'll populate a preview for me to see what's in here, just so I can get an idea of, okay, this is the right file, this is the right tab, and then once I give it a look and realize this is the one I want, I can just click load. And then you're always going to see this little yellow bar up here, pending changes, basically saying, hey, we're bringing the data from Excel into Power BI. Give us a second to put this in. And as you can see, very, very quick. Even though it's 100,000 records, it pulled in very fast. And then once your data comes in, you'll see under the fields pane, you'll kind of see these collapsible fields on the right-hand side. You can open up that and see that your data has come in. And you could always kind of go in between here and drag it out if you want to make it bigger. And this will be the name of the tab in the Excel file you brought in. And if you expand it, you can see all the column headers. This had to do with stocks, so you'll see the high price on the day, the low price, the stock symbol, but any of the column headers you should see here. And if you want once you have your Excel data brought in, you may want to change some formatting or customize some of the columns within Power BI, do some stuff, basically clean some data in Power BI that you didn't want to have to do in Excel. In that case, now that you can confirm your data is brought in, you'll see on the top toolbar a transform data selection. If you click on that and click transform data, this will take you to another screen where you can kind of do a lot of that data cleansing and customization. You can see right here, it shows the query we brought in from Excel, the Excel file. And on the far right, it shows applied steps. This is basically, these steps are always going to be saved here as you make changes. And you can see we didn't create any of these steps. It just saved the steps as we went through the process. So if you click on source, it's going to show you where that data pulled from. So I double clicked on it here, and you can see it's pulling right from the test data file in this exact Automaker Stocks Excel file. And this is important because once you connect the Excel file to Power BI, that's just saved off on your desktop or in your folders, it's mapped to that specific folder you have it in or that specific name of the Excel file. If you go in your folders and you change the name of the file, or say you move it into a different folder, this connection is going to break. So if I changed this to just Automaker Stocks in my files, and I took out the years, to maintain this connection, I can simply come in here and take this out of the source, so it now knows to connect to the new name of the file. So just important to know, if you ever move a file you're connected to or change its name, you might break the connection to Power BI, but you could always go into the source and change the connection to the new one if need be. So definitely a good trick to know. And then it does some stuff for you automatically. You could see it promoted the headers. So at first, when I brought the data in, it had the headers as their own row, which isn't correct because we want them to be the column headers. So it automatically promoted the headers. You could see it move them up. And if you ever want to do that yourself manually, if it doesn't automatically do it, you can just click on this little down arrow and say use first row as headers. And that'll just move what's in row 1 up to your header. So now that you have your data in here, this is where you can change format. Like right now, this is in decimal format. Since this is stock prices, this is in US currency. So for example, anytime you want to change formatting, you can click in these little boxes where you see the numbers or letters, and you're going to see a drop down of many different formats you can use. In this case, it's decimal, but we want to make it dollar currency. So I'd click on that, and I can click replace current step. I don't want this to be decimal. I want this to be dollar, and you can see how it changes there. And you can do this throughout any of these additional ones. And in the next video, I'm going to show a little more detailed breakout of different formats you can do, how you can kind of edit and clean your data in the back end to make it more presentable when you're making visuals and tables for your dashboards and reports. But anyway, anytime you make your change, it'll show up as an applied steps. It'll always save that change. So you'll never have to change this to currency again. It's going to remember that in your applied steps. So say I make this one a currency, and say I say add a new step. So you're going to see it comes down here. And then I look back and I'm like, you know what? I don't want this to be currency. I'll just keep it decimal. I can just delete that step here, and it's like it never happened. So it's really easy to create and remove steps. So always feel free to play around with these because you can always change them in this area. But once you have the new steps you want, you will click close and apply to keep those changes. And again, this is usually relatively quick if you're an Excel file when it loads back up. And then, so the changes went through. And then you can open up your field pane again to see those changes. And again, you'll see all your data will be changed within here. So in the next lesson, we're going to do some cleansing of data, and then we're also going to start making some visuals. So feel free to tune in, and in the comments, let me know if you have any trouble with this, if you're trying to do this yourself, or if you have just any ideas for future lessons that may help you out as you kind of navigate Power BI for the first time. Thanks for watching.